I'm pleased to bring before the committee two of the nation's most experienced career Foreign Service officers. Ambassador Ann Patterson is the nominee for Assistant Secretary of State for Near Eastern Affairs, and Gregory Starr, who's no stranger to this committee, as Assistant Secretary of State for Diplomatic Security. Ann Patterson has spent the last 2 years serving as ambassador to Egypt at a tumultuous and transitional time in Egypt's history, and I personally want to extend our thanks and appreciation for her service. She was in the eye of the storm as the winds of the Arab Spring began to blow across the region, and her expertise and experience served her well. She has a long record of service since the time she left her home in Arkansas and went to Wesley. Her experience is exemplary of our Foreign Service officers who put their lives at risk, often in places where an American presence is necessary, but not always welcome. I look forward to supporting her nomination, but I certainly, in doing so, at the same time want to express several ongoing concerns in the region. As you know, Ambassador Patterson, the impact of sanctions on Iran has been significant, and while I support a diplomatic solution to the crisis and hope that we can find such an opening with the newly elected government in Iran, at the end of the day, we need a partner who comes to the table in good faith and with a real offer in hand, and more importantly than an offer, real actions. Until then, it is my view that we must maintain and increase pressure on the regime in order to ensure the success that we want. And I look forward to hearing your views on the situation in Iran. I'd also like to know your views on the next steps moving forward in Egypt to realize the promise we had hoped for from the event in Tahrir Square in 2011 that has given way to an increasingly undemocratic and insecure environment for all Egyptians. In Iraq, I have several concerns about our diplomatic relations following the drawdown of U.S. troops, and I'm also disturbed by Iraq's failure, and I want to underscore Iraq's failure, from my perspective, to protect the MEK community at Camp Ashraf and Camp Liberty, which most recently resulted in 52 deaths and the kidnapping of 7 individuals who remain hostages. And I expect the Iraqis to hold the guilty parties responsible for their actions, and I also hold the Iraqis responsible for the security of those at Camp Liberty, and I hope that the administration will send the same message. Finally, on the peace process, I support Secretary Kerry's efforts and believe that we must continue to keep the Palestinians at the table, engaged in face-to-face negotiations with the Israelis. I applaud Israel's courage in agreeing to the release of prisoners at the outset of negotiations and hope the Palestinians will publicly commit to remain at the negotiating table and not pursue statehood or enhanced status to any international bodies while this effort is going along. It's only through the hard work of direct negotiations that we'll be able to realize a durable and realistic peace. You're no stranger to these complex issues. You're a decorated Foreign Service officer, and I look forward to your service. Let me turn to Greg Starr, the nominee for Assistant Secretary of State for Diplomatic Security, who appeared before the committee this summer to testify on a bill co-sponsored by Senator Corker and I and other members of the committee, the Chris Stevens, Sean Smith, Tyrone Woods, and Glenn Doherty Embassy Security, Threat Mitigation, and Personnel Protection Act. You provided us with insights and benefits of many years in diplomatic security, first as a special agent in the Foreign Service, serving in Tunisia, Senegal, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. You later served in the Secretary of State Security Detail and Technical Security Operations, as Chief of the Division for Worldwide Local Guard and Residential Security Programs, and as a Senior Regional Security Officer at our embassy in Tel Aviv. And now you're returning, coming out of retirement, to be considered for Assistant Secretary of State for Diplomatic Security at a time when we sorely need your experience and expertise. Let me conclude by saying I've said in the past and will say again, lessons we've learned from the tragedies in Nairobi, Dar es Salaam, and Benghazi are emblematic of a broader issue we will increasingly face in the 21st century. It will require our full, unequivocal, unwavering commitment to fully protect our embassies and those who serve this nation abroad, and that will be your charge as Assistant Secretary, to help strike the proper balance between sealing off vulnerabilities in high-threat areas and continuing to conduct vigorous and effective diplomacy that serves the national interest. The fact is we can never have absolute security in an increasingly dangerous world, but security alone is not our objective. At the end of the day, we need to address both the construction of new embassies that meet security needs, and we need to do what we can to secure existing high-risk posts where we need our people to represent our interests and where new construction is not an option. That's what Senator Corker and my embassy security bill seeks to do, and my hope is that we can look forward to the legislative process soon to achieve that. So we look forward to hearing from you, Mr. Starr, about the progress we've made, what other challenges we may have, and how do we pursue it. And again, thank you both for your years of service. I know Senator Corker had some original comments. I don't know if there's any you wish to pursue. And with that, Ambassador Patterson will welcome your statement. Both of your statements will be fully included in the record without objection, and the floor is yours.